Hey everyone, Matt here, or CMattDye is what I go by on the internet. And today I want to go over the crypto markets. We had a big event happen yesterday. I kind of wanted to absorb the information and look at the charts, and now I want to go over everything. The big story yesterday was FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried. His company had more exposure to Luna than they let on, and their company is insolvent right now. I think it's worth like negative a couple hundred Bitcoin. So they're doing really bad right now. And there's a non-binding offer from Binance for them. And Binance is going to do their due diligence, and then that offer may become binding. It may evaporate once they do their due diligence. Ideally, they're not as bad off as I think they may be, and Binance is able to actually purchase them. If not, it could cause a larger cascading effect for the overall crypto market. If you guys remember, Luna just totally blew up, was like 100, maybe a little bit over $100 per token, and they just went straight to zero. They blew up, over leveraged themselves, and Sam Bankman-Fried's company essentially did the same thing. They were over leveraged. They made some purchases that they probably shouldn't have, just trying to be a big superstar in the industry. And one thing that I do see in every single market, if somebody comes in and they have a lot of money, people tend to see them as very, very smart. And SBF is a smart person. I'm not trying to take that away from him at all. He's a very smart person, but you can be smart in one area and not be smart in another area. And I wanted to really talk about that because it's important. Just because somebody is really smart in one area doesn't mean they're smart in another area. If you're good at arbitrage, it doesn't, and you take advantage of a particular situation, it doesn't mean that you can run a multi-billion-dollar company. It's kind of important, but it's a sad day for sure. It's a sad day for crypto. SBF was lobbying for a lot of regulation and everything, and this is going to put regulations in a different light. It's going to scare people away from crypto. So, really right now we just have to take it for what it is and keep progressing forward. There's a lot of good builders in the industry. I actually I went on FTX a little while ago, like many months ago. Got on their trading platform. I didn't like it and I left. And that's the only reason I don't have any exposure to FTX. I would have probably had an account there, but I just didn't like it. I wasn't a fan and I left. But seeing stuff like this is definitely a big black eye for the industry. And we'll find out a little bit more over the next week once Binance starts doing their due diligence into FTX and looking at them. And, we'll find out, are they going to actually be able to purchase them? Are they not going to be able to? And that's going to be kind of important for crypto as a whole going forward. So it's going to be interesting. But let's get into the charts because that's why you guys are here, at least hopefully. So the crypto total market cap I like to begin with. And we are seeing this really just drop here. And where can it go? It can go down anywhere between 600 and 700 billion market cap. I'm going to get into this a little bit more because this chart is literally the same as the Bitcoin chart. Why? Because Bitcoin is the largest crypto by market cap, at least I think it is, but it is the most watched crypto. It's the one that institutions look at. If an institution is like, I want to get into crypto, they're going to look at Bitcoin first. And it just makes sense. You go with the largest one that you're going to have the least risk with, because Bitcoin going to zero is very low probability. I think Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Matic going to zero is very low probability. Um, let's jump into Bitcoin and I'll talk about it. So let's blow up this chart here, and there we go. And this is how I'm looking at this through an Elliott wave perspective. You guys know that I like to use Elliott wave. That's the analysis that I enjoy, and it kind of gives you a clearer picture. Now, I don't use Elliott wave in a vacuum. I don't think using one tool in a vacuum makes sense. Like if you're building a house, would you use a hammer or would you use a nail gun? And what type of nails would you use? Would you use one type of nail or multiple types of nails? You would use multiple types of nails. You have your roofing nails, maybe a different nail for a shingle. You have different nails for the wood. You have some screws you would use versus nails, depending on if it's a load-bearing wall or not. And it's the same with trading. I use Elliott wave. I use a couple other tools as well in conjunction with it, and it gives me an idea of where the market's going. Am I correct 100% of the time? No, never. Like, no one is. And if they are, then there's probably some kind of issue. Maybe a FTX type of thing. But anyway, this is how I'm looking at it. So 1, 2, 3, and I'm looking at this as a 4. Now the other way we can look at this is that this 1, 2, 3, and it was a 4, 5, and it was complete. And this is just the start of a corrective leg. I think this is a corrective leg. It's very scary, and it's, a lot of blood in the streets, so to speak. It's a Wall Street term. But that's what I am seeing. Now let's zoom in here, and I can talk about where we can see price go. So right now, this is a corrective leg. Is this going to be a 4? Is this going to be a 2? We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, I think this is a corrective leg. I did talk about this 21,000 to 21.4. 21 to 21.4 as being a big level, a big zone. And you can see the price pushed up to it. It would even went inside the zone, and then it just rejected. It couldn't get above. It couldn't stay above. And I was long from this area down here, but I took profits, and I did pretty well on it. I didn't short the market. I wish I was short, but I'm not short. But I was able to make profit. Market's rolling over. I'm not in the trade right now. Do I have a long-term position in Bitcoin? I do. Have I traded enough to where it's kind of a free position? Yes. And that's what I do. I like to have a long-term position, but then I love to trade. Trading is something I've done for the past few decades, and I just enjoy it. And that's what I do. So right now we're seeing Bitcoin drop. And I've talked about this area down here as being a possibility. Whenever I talked about possibility of going higher, I talked about this resistance. I've talked about areas down below, talked about areas above. So now that we see this breaking down, what am I looking for this to do? Well, I'm looking at this as being one of the last legs down before a larger relief rally, and then we can come down again. Now, does the market have to play out like that? It doesn't, but it's getting to the point where it does look a little bit oversold. Why? Well, I'll talk about why I think that, but I'll talk about what will make it look like it's much, much, much weaker. So that would be a move below 15,535. A move below there, especially a strong move. Let's say this goes and this breaks 16,800. It breaks 16,097, and it just is super, super strong to the downside. And it breaks that 15,488. Just a ton of strength to the downside here. Then what am I going to think? Well, if it does that, I'm going to think the market is super weak for one, and it's going to really, really start moving lower. Below 14,217 would would be super weak. Now, what am I thinking? Well, I'm thinking that it can find support anywhere between the 17,000 and 16,000 area. This zone in here is a decent support. And like I said, if it breaks, especially if it just is it moves really fast to the downside. It's just, that's what I mean by strong to the downside. It just moves really fast to the downside. There's no support, no pullbacks. It just moves straight down. That would tell me that, okay, well, it is weaker. This is a 2. It's not a 4. It would tell me things like that. At least it would put the probability in that favor. So that's what I'm looking for. Is this going to be support? Is it not? That's going to be very interesting to watch. And really we'll have to pay attention to what happens with that. You know, like I said, I don't have a trade on at the moment, but I am watching very closely to see what actually is going to play out. So with that, let's go to Ethereum. And Ethereum, I have a similar prognostication to Ethereum. And if I zoom out here, I'm watching it pretty much the same way as Bitcoin. You know, this is a 3 here. Now this could be a 5, but I'm looking at this coming down as a 4. Now if it's going to break down and be super weak, things can definitely change. And it looks like this could be a 2, just like with Bitcoin. Polygon, I'm already calling it like that. Cardano, I'm already calling it like that. So right now, you know, Ethereum, I took off these upper levels because it doesn't really matter. It just puts extra stuff on the chart that I don't care about. But Ethereum, I was calling that too. You know, we were long and I got stopped out here in profit, but I took some profit off the table. So I made money with Ethereum, made money with Bitcoin. That's really what it's all about. You know, make money here, make money there, and eventually, you know, you have more money. That's how it's supposed to be. But anyway, this has broken down very, very strongly. You want to keep an eye on 1180 and 1110 for possible support. Now, is that a level I'm going to get long at? No, I'm watching price. I'm not trying to get into a trade at the moment, but it does look like this is corrective. If I was a betting person, I would say anywhere from 860 to 860 to 1040, somewhere in there could find that support. But I do want you to keep an eye on this upper area. If this does support, that would be very, very interesting. So that's why I'm keeping an eye on that, just because it would be interesting if support happened, and what would that support look like, and what would any follow through from that look like. So I'm really paying attention to that. But right now, I'm not trying to make a trade. I'm just trying to watch the market, get a feel for what's happening. There could be a cascading effect from FTX, just like I talked about. Binance is going to do their due diligence. You know, it's interesting, Binance just putting that deal out, but Binance is a smart company. You know, they're not just going to make a deal to make a deal. They're going to make the correct deal. So I do have faith in them, and we'll see what happens with that. But at right now, is this going to support? Is it not? Bitcoin made a low. Ethereum so far has not. So a low would be a break of this low right here. We're going to call it 870 for simplicity. If it breaks that, it would be interesting, and that is right at support. That 870 to 1040, right at that support. So going to keep an eye on that to see what happens. Next, Cardano. And Cardano is looking interesting, and I actually have not done any real analysis on it right now. So let's go and get rid of a few things. It looks like it is similar to Ethereum, but let's zoom in and look at it a little bit. So we're seeing this breakdown, right? We saw it come up, it found support here, started to move up. It could not take out this high, which is pretty weak actually. Now it's coming back down. What is going to happen? So a couple things can happen. So we can see it come back up anywhere around that 40 cent level and then come back down again into that 34 cent level. You know, over here I talked about 32 cents quite a bit actually. I said it needs to hold that 32 cent level and it can get a pop from that, and it did. And you know, I look at probabilities. That 32 cent level, if it held it, I thought it was a very good chance it could have popped a little bit, which it did. But if it broke, there was a good chance it can run lower. And in this case, we come back to that exact same scenario. Is it going to break? Is it not? What happens? So that's what I'm watching very, very closely with Cardano. And that's why I said we could see it come up here around that 40 cent level, then back down, and that would find some support, or it can continue breaking down a little bit more, and that would be interesting. Okay, if we do look at Cardano through a classical analysis, then we can see here that 30 cents is going to be an important level. And I've talked about 35, I talked about 25 cents before in the past. So if we look at this, so right now there's a channel being formed, short term, but then there's a longer term one. And if we look at this, I drew these two lines separately. I didn't clone, whereas these two lines I actually cloned, so they're the exact same incline or decline, whatever. Whereas these are, if you look at them, you can see they're slightly coming together, whereas these are the same, if that makes sense. Or these are parallel, whereas these are not quite parallel, I could say. So looking at this, what stands out to me? Well, kind of the exact same thing I just talked about. You know, this can come up into that 40 cent area, come back down, or this can come lower. That 32 cent level is still important. However, that 30 cent level kind of stands out like a sore thumb right now. So if it does come down, let's say it breaks 32 briefly but jumps right back above it, that would kind of be it supported that 32 cent level. So that's kind of something I would look at. You know, I don't use classical technical analysis that often, but I do sometimes. So that's kind of what I would look at with Cardano. If it breaks 30 cents, if it breaks 32 cents, and then it breaks 30 cents, then it can drop a lot more. So that's one thing I would watch. If it breaks that, you know, it's going down into the lower 20s, possibly a little bit lower. If I zoom out onto a larger, just, you know, giving myself more information here. Let's see here. I would say 17 to 20 cents is kind of important if it does break that 32 and 30 cent area. So keep an eye on that. That's what I'm going to be watching with Cardano. Right now, you know, the market's kind of breaking down, but it seems like it's close to that support. So I'm not buying anything, I'm just kind of watching, but it is looking very, very interesting. So now let's go to Polygon. Now Polygon was something that I was keeping an eye on, and I was telling everybody that this was a corrective move. Now this was a nice impulsive move here, but that just turns it into an A, B, C corrective move. All of this I was really unsure of. So what I'm thinking, this was an ABC to make an A wave. This was an ABC to come down, ABC to come down. So this was a corrective move here, followed by this was a corrective move here. So I'm expecting this to come down somewhere in this region here. So 60 to 69 cents, we'll just call it like that. Somewhere in there would be a good area for price to come, if this thing would work. So we're pretty much going off of this supply zone over here, but anywhere in here would be a decent area, and it would need to be probably corrective on the way down. It could just go straight down, and then that I would assume would, you know, have a pullback and then come down again. But what will that look like? So right now I'm thinking that overall we are close to support. This event is going to, you know, be near the end of this move, and then we'll get a corrective rally, which this move is corrective, and you know, I would think that it would come much lower afterwards, but right now that's kind of how I'm viewing it. Next, let's go over to, well, if this does actually support here, I would be looking up near that, you know, 160 to $2 area. But right now it's breaking down. There's really no reason to call anything on the upside. Really just looking for possible areas of support. What happens if this breaks? If this breaks, then back down here, that 40-30 cent range, I'd be looking for, you know, because I do think this is corrective. This is a corrective structure, and it needs to go lower in order to give me something else. And I am looking at this as an impulsive move, which means this is a corrective move. A little bit more higher eventually, and then another move lower is what I'm looking for ideally, but we'll have to wait and see what actually does happen with the price action. So next let's go to Solana, and Solana broke a big area that I had been watching. That is that $22 area. It broke $22, and now where is it going to go? Well, that, you know, 1920, 19 even is a valid area, but it broke 22, which means as long as it stays under 22, I'm going to look for lower prices. You know, can this run down into $10? Yes. It broke 22, it can run under $10. What am I looking for with Solana? Well, that's a good question. So let's see here. All right, so like I said, it can run below $10, and this current structure is going to be very interesting. That 15, 31, 15, 50, 16. It's going to be a very big to watch. You know, I talked about 16. Does it support here? Does it not? So that is going to be the big question. If it makes a new low right here, just a new low in price, 16.16 is a low, ironically. So below 16.16, it can start to run lower, and that would take it below $10. Now, if it breaks 10, is it going to go lower? I think so, because 10 is going to be very important. 865 is an area, but right now breaking that green line at 15.30 is going to be big, and that should take it under $10. So that's what I'm looking at for Solana right now. I don't really have any supportive areas except for this 16 area. It's going to be important, so we'll see what happens with that. Binance, I was thinking Binance, you know, along with the rest of the market prior to this move down, I was thinking maybe it could turn into something, and it did actually come up near 400. That's very interesting. It popped up and then it just started selling, and that was probably off of that news that Binance was thinking about. They have a non-binding offer to buy FTX. You know, well, it's non-binding, and once they do their due diligence, they can make it binding if they want to go through with it, or they could just make it evaporate and it's not a thing anymore. That would cause a cascading effect, I think, in the crypto market. And I think that's what people are doing. You know, there was a lot of people selling when price went up here. Yeah, and you know, I obviously say that in hindsight because I'm not short. You know, wish I was, but I'm not. It is what it is. So after this move up here, you know, we had this other move up, and now we're having price come down. So what can we look for is kind of the question. So let me zoom out here, and this is kind of what I was looking for. W, X, and a Y here, which would make this a fourth wave, and then eventually we would get that fifth. Now, do I think that's going to happen anytime soon? Not really. I still think the bear market is 6 to 13 months out. I've said that before, and I will say that again. And really right here, we can see some possible support. So if I come in here, support is right in here is a possibility. Now, is that one thing I'm looking for? Am I going to make it buy there? Definitely not. But is it interesting? Yes, it is. So, you know, we saw this strong move down here with a weak pullback, and a strong move down with a weak pullback, strong move down, and then we had a little bit of a stronger pullback here, you know, followed by another strong pullback here, as far as like looking at it from a down perspective. And now that we have price up here, what am I looking at? Well, I don't think this is going to make a new low. It could, and I could be wrong, but my initial perception is that it's going to find support, and either above 265 or most likely would be above 280. So 230, you know, reading 230 to 260. I would say 230 to 280 could be a support zone. If I put it like that, support zone. I'm not looking to buy. I'm just looking to see what price does. And I might be interested after I watch it for a little bit. But right now I'm just watching. I'm not trying to get into the market in any fashion at the moment, just kind of watching. But it does give me vibes that we can start to find some support. But until price does something, ideally from this area, we get that move up, followed by a little rejection, and it comes down again, and that would be the moment where I would start to look for a possible buy. There's a couple other currencies setting up in the same way, so that's what I'm paying attention to here. Lastly, let's go to XRP, and XRP has also broken down. XRP structure was pretty ugly, and I talked about that, but I also talked about the possibility of it going higher as well as going lower in my last, you know, few videos. Let's start with the overall look of XRP, and you guys who watch the channel probably already know my overall look, but let's talk about it. So I think this is a corrective structure. All in all, I'm looking at this as being a W and X followed by an eventual Y. And I talked about how I don't know if the X is done yet. So XRP could easily come lower. And there's a lot of fundamental reasons to own XRP. There's also fundamental reasons not to own XRP. You know, I think that, you know, the government is holding them in court while another company comes in and takes XRP's business. You know, I read an article maybe a month ago that Chainlink was going to start getting into Swift trading, which is what XRP is trying to get into. Swift, if you don't know, is an interbank exchange, and they allow trading between banks overnight. And that kind of is important for banks to function. You know, banks need that overnight exchange. And that's what Swift provides. Swift is very fast, and it has a lot of transactions per second. So it allows a lot of liquidity. And that's what XRP does. And I know Chainlink, I read an article not too long ago talking about that. I think there's going to be a different crypto that's going to be involved, but I do believe a crypto is kind of necessary to be involved. So that's that's my primary thinking. Is it smart to own a little XRP if it goes below 20 cents? I think so. Just in case. You always have a plan A, but then you have a plan B just in case plan A doesn't work as far as trading is concerned. Life, you do you, I do me. But as far as trading is concerned, always have a couple scenarios in mind. That's how I do. But anyway, long story short, let's get into the charts. So, we've had this move here. If we look at classical TA, we draw this, and this is pretty much like this. So this would be classical technical analysis, right? And a lot of people would look at this, and if you're familiar with patterns, especially triangles, broke out, a lot of people would be getting long right here. Did I recommend anybody to get long? I didn't. I was never in an XRP trade. Why? Because I don't look at classical technical analysis when I place my trades. I look at them sometimes if I'm unclear, like with Cardano. I did a little classical analysis to see where it was at. But I don't look at that to place trades. Why? Because I don't think that it's the best thing to do. So that's why I don't do that. I try to look more at order flow, stuff like that just gives you an idea. That's why you don't see a lot of indicators on my chart. I have price, which is the main indicator. 99% of indicators are based on price. So why don't I just use price? So that's what I do. I look at price and I can read order flow through that, and that's what I do. And then I add Elliott wave to give me a overall gestalt. Oh, I guess that's the same word. Overall analysis of something to look at. So with XRP right now, what am I looking for? Well, if this breaks, I'm going to say 31 cents. If price breaks 31 cents, then it's going to be in a supply zone. I'm going to say anywhere from, let's see, if it breaks 31 cents, $0.25 is going to be important. And then if it breaks 25 cents, I could easily see it come down 15, 12, something like that. So if it gets below 20 cents, I would be buying a bag to hold for a long time. And I'm not going to put all my money in it. That doesn't make sense. But I do have a small percentage of my portfolio that I can dedicate to that. And that's what I would be doing just in case. Because in the next bull run, and to take fundamental a little bit further on XRP, it's important that it does win its case against the SEC. Why? Because it's not just a case against XRP. It's a case against crypto. SEC is trying to demean XRP as a way to demean all of crypto. So if XRP wins, it's a win for crypto. It's a big win for XRP, but it's a big win for crypto. And that's why I'm looking at it as such. And that's why I would be buying a bag if it gets down here. So if this weakness continues, that would be nice. That would be nice. So we'll have to really just wait and see on this. But right now, it's looking decent. So if it is going to break down a little bit further, we'll see what happens on that. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed all of the analysis. Maybe you just clicked on certain cryptos that you're interested in. That's totally okay, and that's why I do these videos. That's why I break them up into segments, so that way you can click on your favorite crypto. So if you did enjoy it, hit the thumbs up. I would appreciate that. If you have any comments on my analysis, maybe you're thinking something different, which is totally cool. Throw that in the comment section below, and we can have an intelligent discussion. I love intelligent debates. I think it's good because everyone learns something. What I don't like is all the trash talk and stuff like that. That doesn't get anybody anywhere. But we're all here to learn. We're all here to become better people, and at least that's why I'm here. And I've met a lot of great people in the crypto space, and it's just been awesome. So leave your comment down below if you have any. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. I appreciate you watching. Have a great day. I'll see you around the crypto markets. Take care.